and running. All right, so first up, I'm going to share my screen. Brian, did you want to introduce yourself?
Hey gang, little connection issue. Brian Jones, Jones Design Build, co-chair of the CotY committee with Anna, and on the board as secretary.
Great, that's excellent. All right, give me just a second. Yes, can you all see this?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So today's presentation is going to be on how to submit a CotY, and we have a number of people here that have quite a bit of experience in submitting them. Feel free to ask questions throughout, then for the Q&A section when we get to the end. We also have the chat box as well. So again, I'm the executive director for NARI Minnesota. We have Anna Struess, the CotY co-chair, Brian Jones, the CotY co-chair, and Kent Shuey. Brian and Kent have both submitted and won multiple CotY awards. We're glad that they're here today. So we'd like to welcome you, and we'll get started first off with Anna.
Awesome. So we wanted to give a quick background first, because sometimes we jump into the details and we don't actually know what we are even doing here. So what is a CotY? It stands for Contractor of the Year, and this will be the 25th annual. So this is a big year for us. We're excited. And so this year we are going to be at Abulé. It's at a beautiful location. It was actually supposed to be for last year, but due to this small little breakout virus that happened, we had to stop that. So this year we're excited to be back and be at Abulé. So there's multiple categories that you can submit for. So you want to take a look at the categories and see which ones are the best fit for the projects that you have. And then there is a first and a second place winner in each category. There's also regional and national competitions, and we're going to speak more to the national side later. But for us, specific today for what we're submitting for, it will be the regional, which is within our own Minnesota chapter, our awards program. The other two areas within the CotY is the recognition. So our members are what we like to call the cream of the crop. You guys are the best of the best in our industry, and we want to showcase you. We want to have you have your clients and your market at large know about what you're doing and the excellence that you bring to the industry, and that they can trust you and that they want to work with you. So that is a main part of why we do the CotY Awards. And then it also, and we're going to speak to this a little bit later, but the marketing opportunity for you to really leverage your companies and your excellence and your craftsmanship, your attention to detail with your customers. Next slide. And I will share as well that we do have a Q&A a little bit further down, but if there's something that comes up for you that you have a specific question, either write it down or feel free to shout it out, just so that we make sure to get your questions answered. What is the gala? So the gala is an annual event for us where it is our highest attended event. We have associates and contractors come together, some guests as well that are present, and it's a night of recognition. It's a night to celebrate you as members, and it's a night to celebrate our industry at large. So we invite you. For some companies, they actually use this as a type of event for the company at large. So they'll invite all of their team. It's a really great way to just have a recap to recognize within the companies. But it's a great night where we come together for about 2.5 hours. And again, we just recognize and celebrate the work that you guys have done. All right, so now we're gonna go into some details about how to submit your CotY general information. And Kent, Mr. Kent Shuey, is going to share about those with us. So take it away, Kent.
All righty, well, thank you. First and foremost, I'm not a professional presenter or even an amateur presenter, so bear with me. I'm better probably on question and answers, but I will do my best to go through this and give you the information that I can. Basically, right now, we've already opened up the submissions for the CotYs, with the deadline being September 10th at midnight. So for submissions, I don't know the exact link, but obviously you can get it by going to NARI-MN.org and kind of going through there and navigating that. So I suggest that anyone kind of go on there as soon as possible, really, to kind of start that process, because you can look through there and kind of also get more information of what is needed as well. So, but basically just going off the slides here. So strongly recommended is before photos. You don't actually have to have them on there, but it's really strongly recommended. So, because obviously pictures always say 1,000 words. So people really want to know what it looked like before to what it is, the completed project. Same thing with drawings, images, any text or anything like that will certainly help judges understand the project and what really happened from start to finish. And very important that entries cannot include the company names or any individual names or addresses, because this is supposed to be, really anonymous, so that there's no bias or anything like that that's going to happen with the judging. And go to the next slide. So in the judging process, and actually even before that, the CotY committee, we look at all of the submissions beforehand, and we have the judges then have the ability to perhaps disqualify or adjust your category or deducting points when the judges are judging it if you're not following the rules or the guidelines. So a lot of times the CotY committee will look at those, and if it's not really in the right category, you're missing some signatures or anything like that, we would give you opportunities to perhaps change those, but not necessarily either. So really need to look at those rules and make sure that you're within all the guidelines. And we'll go over some of those rules, as well here. You obviously have to be a NARI member, good standing, of course. And the project range is December 1st of 2018 through the submission date September 10th. So if it's a project before that, that would not be eligible. But do note that the national submission date range is a little different. That's like 2019, I believe it is. So we extended last year just because of COVID. We extended a year longer, and we're kind of continuing on this year as well. So just note that when you're doing the submissions as well. Photos. So you cannot do any enhancements other than like brightness or contrast or sharpness. So you can't add items or take items out to make it look better or anything like that. So just be aware of that. And there's not to be any photos of people in the photos, but sometimes, maybe it's a before photo or something like that, and there's just a person in there and you just couldn't get it. And again, you're not supposed to edit them out. So people have kind of blurred faces or anything like that. So that's definitely something that would need to be done. But I definitely encourage no people in there if you can. So next slide. So looking at the categories, which is, we don't have that on this slide, but they're basically the same as last year. And also just noting that we've combined some of the categories for our specific Minnesota chapter. So it's basically based on, because we really don't get that many submissions in those. So like commercial projects, I don't know if we've actually had a commercial, oh, maybe we've had a commercial project, but not very many, one, I think. Universal design, we've combined those. All the green projects we also have combined. Entire house, we've there are nationals, there's 4 categories, but we've combined 2 of them. So it's 250 to 750 and then 750 and up. And then just specific for Minnesota chapter, we've had the landscaping and design, outdoor living of 50,000 and under. So just note those if you are going to move on to nationals, that you maybe get split out into different categories if you submitted this in the Minnesota chapter. So judging expectations. So this is just to kind of maybe know what the judges are going to be looking for. Obviously impartial, or they're supposed to be. They should hopefully know all the rules, understand the categories and the criterias. And so we have been using for the past 2 years, I think, Kansas City, and before that we've used Milwaukee. So we're try to use Midwest judges, so that they're kind of familiar with our maybe building or our climate and such, or similar to what we do. But do note that, and this kind of comes up in a later slide too, that the judges are from all different lines. So they may be a contractor, they may be a designer, they may be associate, which is working at a tile shop or something like that. So know when you're writing out a lot of your things that they're not in one specific category or job that they have. So you really want to do a broad range of explaining things, because they may not all be professionals in that particular one item if you're talking about framing or if you're talking about tile setting or something like that. So just kind of know that. So scoring, they will consider the following questions, which I'll go over here in the next few slides. But basically your presentation needs to address the points on the next points that I'll show, but basically they're on a scale from 1 to 15. And so scores will be on each one of those categories. So, and then after the winners and the gala, then those will get shared with you on that as well, which is a really good helping point to kind of understand what the judges might be looking for. But again, the judges are individual people, so sometimes you may not agree with that, but that's just what they see in the presentation. So it's really subject to, the judge's individual thinking now. So just keep that again in mind. So the first category that they'd be judging on are the client's needs. Were they met? So basically, did the contractor or modeler address the needs of their client? Did the contractor tell you what the client wanted? Did the contractor or modeler show that it was met, the request? So basically, you kind of want to really just address what they wanted. Did they want a new kitchen because it was outdated and they wanted, refresh? Or did they need an addition because of bedroom, because they just had a new baby? And so therefore, that's what was met. So you really want to just explain why you're doing the remodel and then how you met those requests. So next category that they'd be judging on would be the functionality. So to what degree does the project enhance the existing structure functionality? Did it meet the client's requirements? Does the new floor plan function well? Is the counter space or work area adequate to perform necessary tasks? Good traffic flow, safety addressed? Are the materials functional? Lighting addressed? So basically everything or anything that makes it function, you kind of really want to describe that. How you improved it really is kind of the main thing that I usually look for, just so they can understand what you did and how you made it better for them. The next line item that they'd be judging would be aesthetics. So what degree does the project enhance the existing structure? Did it meet the client's requirements? Maybe line and rhythm, continuity, repetition, texture, color, symmetry, balance, emphasis. So they all kind of, again, as you can see, they all kind of tie into, did it meet the client's requirements? And so sometimes I feel when I'm, doing some of these, I know I've had a project where personally, I didn't really care for the backsplash tile, that they picked out. But so you might want to, say that somehow, of they really chose this, they liked it because of the browns match something else in their house, which maybe doesn't show, or they really are into, handmade items or something like that. So you might want to, put that out there, because again, sometimes clients can pick things that maybe aren't as pleasing to everybody. And again, photos really do show, say 1,000 words. So sometimes you want to put that in there of why and that they chose something. And then next would be craftsmanship. And so this is sometimes kind of tough, I feel, to show that. So this is where I think photos and really close-up photos can really help. If it's maybe some really fine detail crown molding or something that you can show nice, close-ups of how tight the joints were and such. So again, it's just showing that craftsmanship and then, detailing in text of what you did or how that happened to be able to, come about that particular product or project there. Moldings, woodwork, stair, cabinetry, countertop, so those are where it's really important, I think, in coming back to like photos, because these are digital submissions now and actual photos. People will be viewing these on their computer screens, so people can zoom in quite a bit too. So I think just in those photos, really make sure that everything does look good, because sometimes from far away things look good, but people zoom it in and maybe that crown molding is not really tight. So just be aware of that as well. And then the last part that they would be judging on is innovative. So are there innovative uses of materials or methods in construction? Are they evident, described, and noted? So again, this is a really toughie for me because, boy, there's only so much innovative stuff I think that comes along every year. And they do have to judge on this. So I think this is a part where people can fall a little bit, or that they don't put that in there. And then the last part on this little here where we wrote, were there difficult obstacles encountered and overcome, or any described and noted? And so last year was the first year that they actually took out the difficult obstacles judging criteria. So if you've entered before, there was always an extra one in there about overcoming obstacles. So, but that's now kind of put in that innovative. And so for me last year, that's what I did. I kind of still put my difficult obstacles in this innovative part, because again, it's really hard to say what you did that was innovative. I mean, quartz countertops are no longer innovative, or little LED strip lights under cabinet lights are not innovative anymore. That's pretty standard. So you really have to kind of pull and stretch for that. So I would really combine those in there so that you aren't getting scored a 5 or something just because you had no innovative, products. So, and then the last thing that they might judge on, if you're in the historic category, it'd be an additional thing that they would judge on. Residential historic renovation, restoration will also consider additional items. Did it meet the client's requirements? Original uses of materials duplicated in the project, methods of application used to improve or enhance original style of the structure. So really anything that is, this is really kind of where you want to say what the property was, why is it historic, and then what did you do to, enhance that, or again, the duplicating, or make it so that, looks like it's always been there. Materials maybe in this, because obviously a lot of these historic property stuff that you're submitting are maybe exterior. So are you using or combining in maybe some PVC trim, but it, to make it look like the historic stuff. So all that could kind of go into that. And again, that's a separate judging category. So next slide. So we're really all about kind of style and presentation, or I shouldn't say all, but it really does get judged on as well. So really think about that. Your submission, is it demonstrating professionalism in the project and the presentation? Because if it's easy for them to go through the submission, the easier they might be on judging. But if it's hard to read things or it's hard to see things, I know I've seen submissions in the past where they might have the floor plans on there, but it's super small. So, even zooming in and maybe it's not very crisp. So you really want to make sure that presentation is really spot on, because it may be a great project, but if you don't show that it's, a great project, then it just may be judged, a little bit harsher. See what else it says. Did the contractor get to the point? Did they make the entry easy for you to read? And also grammar, spelling, clarity. Again, all kinds of different people will be judging this. So you might have someone with an English background or something, and if your grammar's not, they may have a hard time giving you high points on that. So, I really suggest having other members of your team maybe go over it a couple times and for clarity and spelling and all that kind of stuff to just make sure it's really spot on. Photos, like I said before, photos really say 1,000 words. So, so me personally, I think, you know, having more photos versus text is really important. And making them larger, maybe not trying to jam, you know, 4 photos, you know, on one page. And people will be also, because this is digital, will be looking at this on different devices. Someone may be looking at an iPad, someone may be on a computer, or maybe they're looking at it on a 30-inch monitor. So just kind of be, you know, cognizant of that, of what they might be looking at your submission on. Can you fully appreciate the work contractor did based on the photos? Staging it, I think, kind of helps. Having, you know, definitely those before and afters can help. And again, yeah, the high resolution is important because, again, they may be looking at it on a large screen, zooming in and such, very important. So one thing on here that you can have up to, I think it's 30 pages for your submission. So you certainly can make it that way. So if you have a lot of photos, they could be 1 photo per page. I would just kind of avoid a little bit more over texting, because I know, because I've judged these as well, because our chapter does judging of other, and sometimes when they get really wordy and it gets long in the day when you're judging many, many submissions, that you can get a little lost and overwhelmed. But photos don't really do that. They, you know, you can look at it and you know, admire that and see what really changed and make your own, you know, thoughts on that. So
Kent, I have a question.
yes.
Is your background right now a picture from a CotY entry?
Oh, why, yes, it is. Yep, it's from I think it's from last year's, maybe, or maybe it's 2019. Yeah, maybe 2019. Yep, from a kitchen that we did, and that I did win a gold or first place for this kitchen. So that's why I thought I'd put that up there for everyone to take a look at.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Next slide, other details. So again, just putting in diagrams. I find it really helpful to, especially if, you know, you're moving walls or additions or something like that, to have the floor plan so that I can really see what changed. Now, again, other people might be looking at different things and they can't read those, but so that's why I think you put in multiple things so that it can kind of hit points of contractors. So I can easily read blueprints, and I like seeing them. Before and after photos from the same angle is always kind of nice, because when I'm looking through a lot of these submissions, I kind of like, well, they moved this door, but I really can't understand how they did the wall. But if it's from the same, then, you know, it's a lot easier to tell that what happened. Having here leading with the best photo, maybe. I mean, that's kind of up to you. You could lead with your worst photo and then hit them, you know, the next page with the after. Listing diagrams of the photo locations. I've seen many, many different submissions with, you know, putting the descriptions over the photos or under the photos. Again, I think that's kind of, you know, I've seen winning ones, you know, with both ways, with, you know, really highlighting or just a description on the next page. Again, I think just making it look professional. Highlighting the unique features of the remodel. Again, that's where I think some detailed photos is really nice to show. And then just having a good layout, design style, you know, of your presentation. Just again, thinking about people looking at this on their computers and how is that going to look. Next slide, judging overview. You know, was the project visually impressive and told as few pages as possible? Again, you have 30 pages, but you certainly don't have to use them. I would say my average on my submissions, obviously it's a little bit more if it's an addition because you're just gonna have more to tell, but probably anywhere from like 7 to 15 pages. I've never used more than that. That's not saying that that's, you know, the winning solution by any means, but that's just kind of my what I've done. Did the contractor get to the point? Answer the criteria in a short and small, you know, statements. And that's kind of what I tend to do. I kind of try to make it the judge's as easy as possible. So I kind of usually go and put, here's the innovative projects, here's the functionality, and kind of tell them in that story instead of just doing long paragraphs and then they have to sometimes figure that out themselves. But again, I've seen winning absolutely, many different ways. Was the entry written peer-to-peer or as industry professionals? Again, it's really, you don't know who's going to be judging it. I mean, you could have, again, 3 judges that are all designers. You could have 3 judges that are all contractors. So it's really hard. So I try to do a very broad statement so that everyone can really understand. Were you wowed? Again, that's where the before photos, after photos, you want to be wowed, right? Were there easy to read drawings? Was it clear what the contractor did and why? Next slide. The pictures provide information not needed. Did the project reflect the price point? So this is a good point here. Obviously, a lot of these or all of these are really in a price point category. So I know I've seen some before, and this is where it kind of goes, the judges could throw something out, or sometimes, just make sure you're really in that target area. Because I've seen some before where it's like, it was in like bathroom under 30,000 and they've had, pure gold fixtures or something and handmade tiles. And it's like, really, is that, so just make sure if that is the case, maybe you got a really good bargain on these tiles or something. It was, maybe that's part of the story. So just make sure it's within that price point, because I've seen judges before kind of say, well, I don't know if they could have really done that for X amount of dollars. Is the execution of the submission great? Presentation, design, and concise? Do you think the client was delighted, impressed? Be aware that 1 point can make a difference. Certainly you've seen in judging, I mean, where, there's 2 points between gold, silver, and then not winning one. So really, do your best, I guess, and look it over. So for Minnesota, we have 2 levels of prizes. This first place, which we call gold, and the second place, which we call silver. We do have ties, so those points can make a difference. We could have, 2 silver winners or 2 gold winners because of the points. However, the only differences that we have for single entrants in a category is that you have to meet basically the minimum requirement. So we'll take whatever correct me if I'm wrong, but the first place of a gold, whatever that lowest one is out of all those other entries, you have to at least meet that. Is that correct? How we're doing that, Beatrice? And same thing for silver. So just because you entered as a single entrant, which of course you don't know that you might be in that situation, but just because you submitted in that doesn't mean that you necessarily win that. So we do have at least a minimum standard.
Correct. That's correct, Kent.
So basically, well, there you go. There's the link right there to submit a CotY. Again, you can just do NARI-Minnesota.org and then obviously navigate through that. September 10th is the deadline, and I'm not sure what else is on the slide. So that just got taken off there. But yeah, so if there's any questions, obviously contact the office, but I encourage you to, start that submission right away, or at least go on and register for that, just so you can see everything that's involved in that you're needed. And it's pretty simple. It kind of goes through line item by line item what you would need. So are any questions to me right now, or we can do that later as well?
Sorry about cutting you off, Kent. We decided we're going to go directly to the website and do a little walkthrough here. So now we turn it over to Brian, and Brian's going to do the walkthrough. We've got a sample here and also talk about marketing. So thank you, Kent. That was excellent.
You bet.
Are there any questions for Kent before we move to Brian for the actual walkthrough and then marketing? All right, Brian, you're up, and just tell me where you want me to go here on our page.
Yeah, so click the submit a CotY, and then scroll down. It talks about the Minnesota rules. the ones, we have a few different rules in national. We highlight them here, and then how far down before there's actually a tab. Oh, there's the pricing. So what are we at? 175 for the first entry and 150 for every additional. So you get a little break if you do more than one.
And new this year.
Oh, right. And we're free entries for new submitters, and we're defining new submitters as not in the last 5 years.
It's for the first submission only.
For submission only, yes. And then the Minnesota categories are shown. As Kent mentioned, there's a couple categories where we combined because we usually don't have that many entries as they do nationally. And we have a special Minnesota category number 40 there, residential project under 25,000. And that could be anything, it could be a entertainment center, it could be a closet system, it could be a unique piece. You're also allowed to submit in multiple categories. So you can take a submission that was a whole house remodel, and you can pull out and just submit the bathroom or the kitchen in separate categories as well. That's what you just highlighted there, right, B? And then the page, the tab to click through is up at the top where it says submit here. Is that right? Yep.
Did you want to do the sample or submit here?
Oh, we have here we have a sample there. I was looking for it myself.
Sample.
So here's a sample of a submission in its format. I'm going to guess this is a past winner bee, correct?
Correct. This is Kent's. Or maybe I'm not supposed to say that.
So I think one of the things you can see here is that they've used they created it in,
They did PowerPoint.
PowerPoint, thank you.
PowerPoint, and then
Created it in PowerPoint and then save it as a PDF for the submission, but they've used the widescreen format so that when people are looking at it on even most phones these days, but for sure on a computer screen, you want to make sure your submission when the page is open fills the whole screen. And then they put before and after photos right next to each other. He'll go through and in the order of, you see functionality, aesthetics. I see this in a lot of submissions. I think it's really helpful for the judge. Judges have their question sheet that they're filling out, and they can see your comments in the order of the categories they're judging or the criteria they're judging for. It just makes it easier to track. I see that with a lot of submissions, and I think it's a great tip on how to format your entry.
all right.
So that's available on our website, and then the submit here piece will get you to your login page. You're going to need to know your NARI credentials, right, B, to get into this part, your login
Yes.
ID and password.
And this is through national. It's not your local district. This is national.
B, if someone doesn't know their login, how might they get that?
They can reach out to me and I will walk them through it and get them set up.
Questions on any of that, you guys?
Do you want me to start a submission?
That'd be helpful. So you have to agree that you've, read the rules, and it outlines the judging criteria once again. You're going to put in your name, your company. It's going to ask for the category, for the address of the item.
I'll pick something else. There. What would
Oh, it
that
asks
be?
for your
Yes.
social media. Oh, and as soon as you click on the category, it gives you a description of it too. If you're not sure, you can read through those. And if you have any questions about that, reach out to Beatrice, and if she has questions, she can reach out to the committee. We're happy to help you get it in the right category. Oh, and here's, it asks for the project, the street, the city, the cost. It's going to ask you to upload. And the project summary is what we call the MC script. So if your project is a winner, it's typically what gets read during the presentation at the gala as the photos of your project are shown. And if you can keep it shorter than 100 words, we all appreciate that. And then this is where you actually upload the forms. The photographer's release now actually needs to be signed by the photographer, even if you're the owner of the photos. That's a slight change from that happened last year. So please reach out, have your photographer sign that. And then the homeowner client also needs to sign a form that reflects the date and the price of the project, and that they are knowledgeable that you're submitting it. And then nationally, there's a team option, but locally there is not.
However, if you do fill in here for the team member, that gives us an opportunity to reach out to the trade partners that helped on the project for the Pillar Awards.
And here it talks about the size of the file. It can be up to 20 megabytes and 30 pages. I encourage you to keep it as concise as possible. If it's especially a smaller project like a bath remodel, there's no reason to submit 30 pages. The judges will, I don't know about walk away, but it becomes really challenging. I think you should keep your design statements to a page or less. Keep your captions to one sentence on photos, and be as concise as you can in the presentation. If it's 10 pages for a bathroom, I think is plenty. That includes your design, your title page, your design statement, floor plan, and before and after photos. Any questions on the submission side of things, gang? All right, so then our marketing committee has done a great job putting together a media kit that goes out to all the winners immediately after the gala, usually the next day, if possible. That gives you a press release, tips on how to market it. So that is something we provide as a value add to all winners, both silver and gold. Anything else on that, Bea?
One thing you can do with yours, and I'm going to pull up one of the members' websites real fast. One thing that you can do, you're going to be getting a logo. Construction. You're going to be getting logos from us for your wins. And let's see, I'm going to share one of our members, Gary Knight Construction. So Knight Construction, they do great work, and they've won multiple CotY awards. You can see across the top that they've got multiple CotY award winners here, and they actually list it down here at the bottom of their page, and they also have it in a couple of, so here under news, they have awards and they list awards that they've won. So this is an opportunity, Kent, I don't know if you do as well, but this is an opportunity for those of you, if you have the logos, you can put it at the bottom of your logo, the winning logo at the bottom of your email on your email, your signature on your emails. You can put it here on your website. You can put it in marketing materials that you put together. So there will be lots of ideas that we'll send out to you, so you can look for that immediately afterwards, and use this as a way to let homeowners know that they're going to be getting the best when they hire you to do their work.
And there's a logo for each category that wins, right? It tells the category for your CotY award.
Correct.
So it's just a cut and paste to be able to use it.
Whoops. Where am I at? All right, so any questions on marketing?
Do we know, is there going to be anybody picking up our winners again this year? Any of the, like the, excuse me, the local paper, Minneapolis or Parent Magazine or?
Yeah, don't know. Yeah, we don't know. We try. We oftentimes send out news to the media. If they pick it up, it's fantastic. Oftentimes they don't. So I think it works better with the local, so your local newspaper, if it's the Sun Sailor, wherever you happen to be, the Villager, etc., they'll be more likely to pick it up than the Star Tribune. We do, though, invite every year, we invite somebody from the Star Tribune to show up at our gala, and perhaps this will be the year that someone will come, and that would be fantastic. We'll see. Let's see, next up is the national, unless there are any more questions on marketing. I have on the screen NARI.org's page for awards. And if you click on there, so this is NARI.org. And if you click on awards and recognition, you can see their presentation for, or their information about submitting for a national award. So what happens is members can submit for a CotY locally, and then they can submit nationally. When you submit nationally, you're going to go kind of into, it's the same software, the back end is the same, but you will be submitting for a regional and then a national. So there are 7 regions. You win at the regional level. If you win at the regional level, then you go on to be a national winner. Both Kent and Brian have been our national winners. So what that means is they've won locally, and then they decide to go ahead and submit for regional, and then they win at the regional level, and then it goes to the national level. The regional winners will be announced in February, and the national winners will be announced in April. And here are the dates for submission. So the early bird rates are currently in effect. So early bird August 2nd, November 3. We will not be announcing, we do not pre-announce any of our winners. So the members show up at the night of the gala on November the 9th, or the people that submitted, our contractors will show up without knowing whether or not they've won. So we announce on November 9th, and so that will be the standard rate. So if you think your project is good enough to win at the national level, maybe you'll submit under the early bird. Maybe you'll wait here, submit after you find out what happens locally, and read the judges' comments and potentially make some changes to your submission as well. The late entry is November 25 to December 2nd. And then again, it's February for the regional winners and April for the national winners. And then as Kent mentioned, or Brian mentioned, there are team members. So that's a separate category that national actually recognizes, but there is an additional charge to that. If you want to put team members down in for local, we don't do a charge for it. We use that to recognize, to go to our trade partners for our pillars, which is the supporting recognition for the CotY winners. Any questions on national? National is a little bit different. They say 2021. So they're talking about the 2021. I'm sorry, they're talking about 2022. We're currently doing 2021, which will be 2022. I know it's a little confusing, but because of the timing, we do 2021, which then becomes regional and national for the following year. And so I clicked on over here the 2021 national CotY winners, and I know that we have some that are here. Let's see how far to go down. There we go. So here's Ben Queen Sons. They won at the local level, then they won at the regional level, and here they won at the national level. And it was addition 100,000 to 250,000. Okay. Questions with that? All right.
So, and given the timing on that, you guys, you can actually wait and see how you do locally and then decide to submit it nationally. The same submission will work for both entries. You can take the same PDF file and just load it nationally. You can also have a chance to read the judges' comments in the meantime, even if you didn't win locally, and maybe make a couple edits in that presentation before you send it off nationally. So you might lose the early bird discount, but I do think it's worth waiting to see some of the judges' comments and see how it goes locally, timing wise, because you'll know in early November and their deadline is usually early December.
All right, fantastic. So now next we have pro tips. And so I'll put this one up on the screen. And this is Brian and Kent. You would like to talk to pro tips?
So I just gave you one with the wait and see what the judges' comments are before you go to national. Realize that you can start a submission at any point and save it and come back to it. You don't have to complete it all in one sitting, so to speak. It's going to be under your login. So what Beatrice just walked us through, you know, you can go get the paperwork and information part done right away, and then work on your actual submission file and upload that later, or go back and get the photographer's release or whatever you're missing. You know, it doesn't have to all be in one sitting. Some of us are really good at waiting till the final day at like 11:55, right, Kent?
Yep. I look over it again and again and again, you know, or sometimes I
Send.
start it till kind of late, but yeah, as long as you get it submitted by midnight, it's good. Just, yeah, with the photos, as I kind of said before, is, you know, whenever you're doing your photo shoots and stuff, really have them do a lot of detail shots. You may not use them, but you never know, because you really can't go back and get photos. And same thing even with the before photos, just, use your phone and just really click away. I mean, with digital stuff now, obviously it doesn't cost really anything. So, so really, and obviously if you can identify projects ahead of time, knowing that this might be a good project, just photos, photos, photos,
There was a project one time that the owner designed or had the color scheme based on her cat. So to this one, clearly state the customer's challenges and how you address them. So you're answering a question that the homeowner had. So what is that question and how did you answer it? And make sure the judges know that.
Ken touched on a little bit. I think having for sure someone proofread and edit your design statement. If you've got someone that helps you with your marketing, or you have someone on staff, reach out and have the pros do the writing part whenever you can.
And this is maybe not a pro tip for, the submission at all, but just a reason for maybe just entering CotY projects in general is that you can really use this as, kind of employee appreciation. I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I know I'm not going to win everything, of course, but just submitting something to show your team members that, you really think this was a great project, and maybe you didn't win, but, and then I use it also as I always bring my whole team to the gala as well. Again, as just an appreciation of them and showing them that I really appreciate what they do and what they put into the projects for me. So I kind of use it as that, even if I don't win.
Yep, and doing it annually, keeps you current on photographing your projects, which is useful in your website and marketing. The energy that goes into this is definitely something you can make use of in more than one way. I just had a project that was a winner from a couple years ago that I shared with the Star Tribune writer. I just gave her my CotY submission to tell her the story, and ended up getting published in the home section. So it's a succinct way, it's a package deal, so it's useful.
Yeah, to that point, Brian and Kent, would you like to talk about the Chrysalis and other awards programs?
You mean Pillar?
No, taking the CotY submission.
The CotY submission works in most all the other awards programs that the magazines support, Master Design Awards, Pro Remodeler, Qualified Remodeler, Chrysalis will all take your submission in that same format. Even Midwest Home is doing an awards program. I think their deadline is the 31st, and they'll take your CotY submission format as well.
Yeah, 31st of July. Yep.
Yep, it's coming up quick, but yeah, so
so taking time to do a good job. I mean, it may not just have to be, for the CotYs, but right, it can be used for other things. So that time spent is, can be.
And even if it's not a winning project, the submission itself can be useful in other ways.
Kent or Brian, would either of you like to talk about submitting in a category? So for example, the element category and how you don't know who's going to be submitting?
I've never actually done one in an element one, but.
Yeah, so I guess my point is that we have no way of knowing who's going to be submitting in any of the categories. And so it could be that yours is the only submission in that particular category. So we have quite a few categories. So even with 100 categories, there are a couple that have, say, 10 or more submissions. There are likely to be some that only have 1 or 2 categories.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you want to try to hedge your bets, I guess, on, better chance of winning. Yeah, certainly look at some of those, I guess, quote unquote, obscure. I mean, certainly the kitchens in the 100 to 150 or whatever that category is. Obviously, yeah, we get multiple submissions for that, but some of the smaller ones, definitely you have a better chance. So yeah, look at the categories a lot. I mean, I do that every year and just kind of see do I have one that might fit in there? Because I did you know, that one that we created, the landscaping under 50,000. I did do an outside, you know, pergola and stuff. Not what we normally do, but yeah, I won gold. I think there's maybe only one other submission or something, you know, so certainly looking at that can be certainly a pro tip. You can just look back at other years and see, you know, how many winners, you know, there were to kind of figure that out.
Yeah, Kent's right. So the sweet spot or the most competition you're going to see are in those middle price points of bathrooms and kitchens. You know, the middle ranges are going to have double digits, easily 10 submissions. But you can look at like the Element or residential detached structure. You know, last year, I think the year before we looked at it and there was only one submission. Last year, all of a sudden there were 5. But so there's no real trend there, but it gets more competitive in the middle range budgets on the kitchen and bath, and the additions, you know, under 500,000, you're going to see more competition there than the 500 to $1 million.
I'm actually on our website under winning CotY projects so that you can go in and look at the past projects. So,
yeah, we have multiple years on there too, right, B, for that? So you can
Correct.
go back and see who's won over the last, I think, at least 3 years.
Yeah, here's 2020, 2019. You get the idea. Great. All right, so we're 1 minute over. Are there any questions? Karen, no questions?
Looks like Anna just had to leave, so.
Okay, great.
Well, one other suggestion I just have would be a tip is, you know, we're always looking for judges as well when we have our, you know, when we judge other chapters. And I think that's also a good way to kind of learn because you're really seeing the submissions as a judge. So I think you can have a better feel on how you're going to be judged as well. So I definitely encourage people to do that when we reach out and have that opportunity.
And by the way, this year, one of the chapters that we're going to be judging is going to be Charlotte, North Carolina. So we're excited about that. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we have a date, but yeah, we're working on that.
I made a couple notes. One last tip on that it's always a challenge, like Kent said, on the innovation criteria, but it doesn't have to be, you know, the latest and greatest technology product. It can be the client's needs, and the way you laid out the floor plan or reuse the space can be innovative. The design itself and the combination of materials can be innovative. So there's ways to address that without being purely, you know, the most luxury or high-tech item.
All right. Will, Michelle, Amber, Charlie, do any of you have questions?
I'm good. It helped quite a bit. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
All right.
I'm good too. Thank you so much.
All right, fantastic. Well, that's all we have for today. I know everybody's time is precious, so we will finish it up here, and just want to say thank you all very much for coming today for the